Lifers Podcast. Get with it or get forgotten.
Welcome to the Coach's Corner, brought to you by the Lifers Podcast Network. Today we have a coach joining us. Kev, how you doing?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on again.
They call me Coach X, and I am on a lifelong journey to show the passion and love I have for the game of basketball. But my focus is to share those stories from former as well as current athletes and coaches' experiences. This evening we have a very special guest, a local Orlando legend who holds all the Corner Lake Middle School and University High School scoring records, and who was a 4-year athlete for the University of Florida. I present to you January Miller. How are you?
I'm doing well. Wow, that was like a really crazy intro, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Kev, do you want to go ahead and first of all, I want to say thank you, January. It's a pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
It's literally just a privilege to have someone, to speak about basketball with who has extensive knowledge. So thank you.
For sure. And, January and I go back to 6th grade.
Yes.
So I always, it's funny because I've actually probably talked about you more than you probably think. Cause I have, I'm a coach as well. So I've, and teaching, girls basketball as well. So I've mentioned your name probably, like I said, more than you probably imagine. And I've been like, I've seen in my eyes, in my life, like the best girls basketball player that I've ever seen, because when we go way back, like we're talking, before, do you remember middle school when we used to play before school started?
In the morning,
sweaty,
working out.
And you already know, it used to be like, so it'd be, essentially like Josh Bear, me, you, Jeremy Baxter, you had, I think, Josiah.
Dylan there too?
Dylan, Josh Farr,
all the boys.
Yeah. So we go way back, and like you said, X said, man, we appreciate you being on here and look, and like even though we go way back, I still don't, I don't know the story. So
okay.
I look forward to hearing it. Speaking of that, like what got you into basketball, and like where has it brought you to now?
So when I started out, I just was like a daddy's girl. So my dad would watch basketball a lot. And so it was crazy because before basketball, I was a dancer, which is crazy, like hardcore dance, like competitions, all that. It's funny because my coach, when I told her I was switching to basketball, she freaked out. She was like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, are you sure? And I was like, no, like I love basketball. So I started when I was 9 years old, and it was kind of just like more fun. And then once my dad saw that I was serious, he started to work with me. And then I did my first like organized like AAU team when I was 11. And then from there, like I started to get better because when I first started, I was terrible. Like only thing I was good at was defense. Like they would just be like, all right, go out there, get us some fouls, I was like, okay. But eventually after that year, it kind of motivated me. And actually, that was around the time when I saw Dwayne Wade win the championship.
The first time?
First time. And so I was like, man, he's so raw. Like, no one thought he could shoot. He improved his shooting. He's just, like, amazing. I was like, you know what? I need to get my game up or whatever. And so I changed my number to number 3. And then I just started, like, working out. And so my dad would work out with me. And then when he felt like I needed more, I went with a trainer. And then, so, like, that's where me and Kevin met in middle school. So like I was playing on the middle school team or whatever.
The first 6th grader to ever start in the 7th and 8th grade team, right?
Yeah, but it was like I was so mad because I didn't get played, and then like I was like, what is going on? Like, how you gonna put me on the team and not play me? But once I got older, I realized why my coach did at the time or whatever. I was young, I still had a long way to go, but it helped prepare me for when I got into high school. Because I ended up going, so I was at Corner Lake Middle School, and then I ended up going to University High School, and I started on varsity again, but it was way more of a transitional period because it's like, you're a 9th grader, you come in there, and all these older kids are like, who is this girl? Like, why is she coming in here? Like, I guess thinking I'll take spots, but I really just wanted to win. Like, that was what I was more focused on or whatever. I'm trying to think. Oh, that was also, so 9th grade year was also when I started on this travel team that I worked with all the time. We ended up like becoming like crazy close, huge bond. We started out as the Comets. We were under the Comets organization. But then after like 2 years, we ended up becoming our own squad, and we turned into Central Florida Elite.
Yep.
So now CFE.
CFE, absolutely.
CFE, yeah, we were the originators, so proud of
That's
that.
awesome.
You know,
That's special.
yeah, it is, because it's. I mean, to see where it is now, we
Correct.
couldn't even conceive what it was at the time. We just all wanted to play together. We all wanted to stay connected. You know, it's like a lot of great players in the area, and we knew each other. We're like, all right, we got to do it. Get Coach Al coming in, Coach Al Honor, and you know, we just went the distance. And I think being on that team really cultivated my game, and just learning how to play as a team, how to be coached well. And
how old were you
learn.
at the time? How old were you when that happened?
So we first became a team 9th grade. So I had to been like 15, 14,
Okay.
15.
Okay.
But like we didn't start CFE till like sophomore, junior year. So I would say I was like closer to 16 around that time.
Okay.
That's when we started that off. So that was awesome. A lot of great memories, a lot of great times. But it's just crazy because like you had your travel team, but you also have your high school team. And so it's different. It's really different because high school, it was more fun for me.
Really?
Like, yeah, I was because well, okay, it's fun in a different sense. So like high school was serious, but I equated my seriousness to travel squad as much. You know, it didn't really change my competitiveness. Like I was always on ready. Like, you know, even when we would play my teammates, I used to play travel ball. I'm like, yo, I'm going at you. Like, you know, I'm gonna win. But I felt like travel squad was more kind of seriousness. Okay, that's what we focus on, commitments and colleges and, you know, looking good in that aspect. Scouting, the scouting aspect. And high school for me was more of like, okay, this is fun, but, you know, I'll try to get as far as I can. But, you know, summer is where it's at. Like summer is like what I want to do. So, I guess I kind of skipped around. So I started like, I was doing pretty well on my travel team, my high school team, and I was starting to get looks like kind of like around the end of freshman year, sophomore year, when I started to get some looks. And so the two biggest schools that were looking at me were Purdue and UF. Those were like the top two that were looking at me at the time. I think Louisville was also interested, but I didn't like Kentucky at the time. I didn't like the area. I think it was a good school and they were like great, but I was young back then. I was like, no, I do not want to be in Kentucky. No. Like that's just not me. No disrespect to the school, but I just it's like I don't want to be in that area. And so like those two were like Purdue and UF were like my two main ones. Both my parents actually met at UF, so that was a big determining factor.
Some history back there in the family.
Yeah, you know, you Gators, you know, you want to make Gators, like you know, it's just it is what it is. But Purdue was pretty cool. For me, a lot of recruiting was like I don't like areas that are too cold. I know myself. I like it hot.
Are you a Florida girl? Are you originally from Florida? Or,
I was born in Miami. So.
Where in Miami?
I don't know. I'm not that good at it. It's like South Jackson.
Like Jackson Heights area?
Yes.
Okay.
We're both we're from Hialeah, so
we're Miami boys too.
Yeah, we're Miami boys too. Yeah, so this is Miami. Cool. We got a little Miami
podcast. Yeah, it's Miami. I mean, I moved when I was like 4 or 5, but I claim it.
Awesome. You gotta rep it. No, all day 305.
All day 305. So yeah, I like the hot weather. So that was like a big determining factor for me. And I went on an unofficial visit to UF. And when I went there, I just fell in love with it. Like I loved the school. I loved what they had to offer. Coach Butler, I was really, you know, I loved what she had to offer as far as schooling and everything. And, you know, back then I was just like, wait, so you get to go on like chartered flights and you get Chick-fil-A? Like I was just like,
I get these jerseys and rock all this gear. Yeah.
Exactly. The cool Gator outfits. I'm like, yo, this is it, you know. Looking back, you know, I think I could have looked more at like the academic sides of it and just like opportunity wise. I think I wish I would have had looked at that a little bit more. But overall, UF like it had everything I needed as far as like because I ended up being a telecommunications major. So they were awesome with that. So it actually worked out pretty well in my favor. So I ended up committing to UF my sophomore year.
Early.
So yeah, it was early.
That's special, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize how special it was at the time. I just knew that's what I wanted. I didn't want to deal with extra stuff. Like I had heard my friends already getting bombarded by calls and stuff like that. And I was just like, I already know what I want. I don't want to deal with that. Like I'm going to just focus on enjoying high school and, you know, go to the next thing. Because I feel like sometimes, you know, it's just a lot going on. And you can't really focus on your game because you're so focused on like all these coaches and protocol and not to get this coach mad or whatever, you
Yep.
know, it's weird. So I was like, I'm just
The
gonna get
game.
it out the way. So I did that. So I feel like that gave me room to really enjoy the rest of my 2 years and just kind of like, you know, go for the ride. I would go to other schools with like my travel squad and stuff like that. But I was locked down. I just got to wear my Gator stuff everywhere, not feel bad, you know. It
Love it.
was pretty cool. Yeah. What else am I missing?
So, yeah,
yeah.
you're going into your junior senior year.
Okay.
Yeah, how was that?
That was pretty cool. I think going in my junior year for high school, I was like, okay, we need to start making our way to state because like the first 2 years were like rebuilding for us because university wasn't as good before. But when I came in, I was like, okay, like 2 years are over. I kind of know what I'm doing or whatever, and so I was ready to kind of make that way. I think, it's gonna be so bad if I don't remember this. I think because we got district, I think my first and my third year.
Okay.
Because we ended up losing to Colonial senior year for districts, I believe. I think yes, I remember this now.
Now I know you made it to like an Elite Eight or like I know you ended up winning districts and going to states.
Yes, senior year we got to the semis for states.
Oh.
We got close, but we ended up playing Dr. Phillips, and if anybody knows that time period, 2013 class for Dr. Phillips was ridiculous. Most of them were my teammates from my travel squad.
Yeah.
So it was frustrating, and it was kind of like, all right, the writing's on the wall, but, you know, we still fought. We played a really good game or whatever. I was happy I made it because I really wanted to get in that space. And so just to have those memories with everybody and getting there, it was really cool. It was cool.
That's awesome. So what about your college adventure? Because that's a whole other life. Having to go
that transition.
Move, that transition's insane, and not everyone actually makes it. You know, it's 1% of high school athletes get a scholarship. You know, give or take. So you're in very special and elite company. So how was your college experience?
It was a whirlwind. It was definitely a whirlwind. I definitely had no idea what college would be like. I thought I knew, you know, coming in when you're younger, you think, oh, like, I'm going to come in here, right, score what I do, whatever. But, you know, it's not just the games that you have to worry about or think about. It's time management, you know, because you have classes. So you have your classes, you have your practices, you have your workouts, you have your meetings, you have other meetings, you got like I don't know, community service, you have more meetings with your coaches, like separately, individually, together. It was just like a lot, you know. Freshman year I just wasn't used to that. Conditioning different. I never conditioned on that level ever in my life. It's something I actually struggled with most of my college career. I don't know, it wasn't really for me. I don't know if it was anxieties I had or if it was like my lungs. Like it literally was just a struggle. So like coming in freshman year, I was like, whoa, like this is ridiculous. So it was really hard for me at first to kind of come in there, but I think eventually you kind of get used to things. And once you get used to like the discipline of everything, because I feel like if you can conquer time management, it could really help your mental health going through it. It could really help. That. Yeah, it could really like help a lot of stuff because that's like the biggest curve, you know. And I think coming in, like students are always experiencing it's a shock for them, but they should be allowed to feel that shock, but then get used to it. And so once they figure that out, you know, it's a lot more manageable. You know, you get into a little system or whatever, you learn the learning curve, and now you can kind of like focus on, you know, if you want to, other ventures, not just basketball too, if that's what you want. Because I mean, for women, for sure, like, yeah, you could make it to WNBA or go overseas, but I think it's also important to like, you know, be realistic and have like other backup options just in case, or other like things that you're really interested in. So yeah, that was a lot for me. That was a lot, but we got through it. We got
4 years through it.
We got through it. So yeah, that was pretty dope.
Now, I don't know if you know, but you know, we did a little research, and
oh no,
you're fourth in history in total games for the University of Florida.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
women's basketball.
In women's basketball. You
Hey.
played the 4th amount of total games for the University of Florida. That's
That's crazy.
special. That's special.
Dang, I did not know that. I did not
That's
know
cool.
that. Wow, who would have thought? Freshman year, I thought that would never happen.
But you went ahead and said it. The grind that
Yeah.
getting smacked with what really needs to happen in order for you to be
Mhm.
successful. I think that's very important for younger athletes and ladies who look up to maybe getting to the next level. They need to make sure that they're prepared and have, you know, that time management aspect of life
Yes.
ready. So I'm glad you touched based on that.
Yeah, that's really important. Like, I was thinking about it earlier today about how like you can't fully prepare for college because there's just no way. Like, it's a different animal.
Yeah.
But some things you can do are like making sure your grades are right. You know, if you struggle in something, you know, get a tutor. You know, put the extra work in, because just GPA alone and dealing with like how to study and stuff, that's like half the battle. You know what I mean? Because regular students in college, we, you know, already struggle with studying and like getting their work in. Imagine playing 32 like game seasons, you know, sometimes depending on how long the season is, and workouts and conditioning. It's a lot. So if you can kind of conquer that, that could be a huge help, definitely, for like coming in, you know what I mean, and like maintaining that and just being like disciplined. It's hard, but like I feel like the discipline you learn from your coaches and from your academic advisors, if they're good, hopefully, it will help you to you know, be okay when you get to college and like, you know, not feel overwhelmed, because I feel like you want to try and not be overwhelmed, because when you're overwhelmed, it affects everything. It affects your aura. You know, you're with these people, this team, like 24/7.
Yep.
So like if you have an attitude or, you know, you're upset about something, they sense it, you know, and it's just like it causes more drama. So like then your team's like, okay, you know, you get it together, then, you know, it might affect your play, and, you know, you don't want to be overwhelmed like that. So to minimize it as much as possible, I would say like in high school, focus on your grades, focus on being disciplined, and just learning how to listen too. I think that's
like
really
that.
important.
Learning how to listen.
Yeah,
Because you can hear it, but listening.
Are you receiving it?
Yeah.
You know?
Are you using it to your advantage?
Exactly. Because honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, freshman year, you know, 10th grade year, you're just like, man, I know this. Like, why are they getting on me about this, blah, blah. But when you really receive it, that's when the real true, like, positivity comes out, and you're really able to capitalize on your opportunity, is when you're able to receive it. Now, you know, I'm not saying like throw all caution to the wind. You know, you have to definitely be on guard, and, you know, your intuition will come into it. But, you know, I feel like if you try to at least hear what they're saying and then make a good generalization off of that, it'll help you a lot in the future.
Yeah, my favorite thing from that was, I mean, you said it, mental and emotional health is something that now is getting kind of spoken about a little bit more, and it's a little bit more open. But you know, people on a daily basis, we deal with anxiety, we deal with, you know, making mistakes and how to respond from that. And like, you know, even great students, like, you know, like great students go take. I was stuck in chemistry tutoring every day, all day. Like I couldn't, you know, you have your strengths and weaknesses. Like I knew my struggles, and okay, let me go to tutoring as many times I need. And like, it's almost like people are afraid to ask for help, and it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to ask for help, and you understand your weaknesses and your strengths, and you go towards with that. So I love that. Yeah, mental, emotional health, and then your physical will follow. So not the other way around.
That's so important. I mean, I feel like I wish I would have learned of that earlier. And I think a lot of it has to do with the dynamics of sports culture. It's very like, you know, you just got to suck it up and you have to do it. Forget about how you're feeling, you know, don't worry about it. But, you know, we're under a lot of stress. And I think coming to college, when I first realized how important mental health was, is when I first started talking to a therapist. And I was able to really get my feelings out there, because before I was like, I don't need a therapist. Like, you only need it when you're crazy, or if you're, you know, whatever, depressed. I'm not depressed, but I might have been, you know what I mean? So it was just like, okay, like, you know, it's not so bad. And it was a good space for me to learn that, and I didn't feel like bombarded or anything. Yeah.
I like that you touched on that, because I want to ask you, I want you to recollect what was your toughest moment on the basketball court. It could be middle school, high school. I'm sure maybe it was college, playing against those Power 5 schools, you know.
Bro, that's tough. I mean, yeah, there's some tough. I mean, especially SEC. Like when it was coming to my junior senior year, that's when South Carolina was on their way up.
Yeah, Dawn Staley.
Yeah, so super dope. I think she's awesome. So those were some tough times. I don't know. What was my toughest moment?
Or a moment maybe where you just felt like there was just certain adversity or your mental was off, just something you experienced that.
I would say conditioning was definitely tough for me, and it was always on the court. You know, our coach, our strength and conditioning coach, had a lot of like doing sprints and stuff like that, and it was just a struggle for me. I remember just like it was like a block, you know, and I just couldn't get through it. Thankfully, you know, I had the help of my teammates. They really helped me through it and stuff like that. And that's another thing.
It's a family.
Yeah, it turns into a family because it's cool because it's like all different types of people that you might have never even talked to if it wasn't for being on this team, but they end up being super close to you and you end up like, you know, just having to go through this together. So I would say conditioning, that was like super, super tough for me. And it was just kind of like something I was like, okay, like I got to conquer this or whatever. You know, so that was pretty tough.
So now this is you did run every day, right? Every day?
Oh yeah, practice. Yeah, you count practice. Yeah,
for all you middle school, high school athletes, we run every day. If you want to be at your peak, tip-top shape, you got to be able to put in that work.
Also, it's also okay to struggle and understand that it's progress and it's a process.
To not know what you're doing, it's okay. Yes. You got to get to it.
Exactly.
Now, as an athlete, I'm sure you know you probably had a few coaches, 2, 3, 4. Who was your favorite coach, and what was it about that coach? What certain attributes, you know, or is there a coach that you just remember something that he did or she did that, you know, that you just remember, or was just something that you were just attracted to?
Hands down, Coach Al Honor, best coach.
Your AAU coach.
Had. Yes, best coach I've ever had. If you've heard stories about him, about how great he is, it's true. Honestly, because like he really elevated my game in so many different spheres, not even just physically, but mentally. He had a trust in his players that some coaches don't always have, because he knows his personnel, he knows his players, he knows what they're capable of. So, like, he wouldn't put you in a situation that he didn't feel like you would be great at. Okay. And because we knew that that's how he was, we trusted him. And I think that a lot of other coaches sometimes may struggle with that with their players because, you know, kids know. I mean, they're not always right, but sometimes they have inklings and people can know when you're genuine and when you really do care about them. And I think especially with this new generation coming in, I'm seeing like with all the transfers and stuff. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to is like, are you just going to like act like I'm going to be your family, or are you going to really put in the work and show that you're family? It's not just should be grateful. Like I could go anywhere. You know, you have to show that I'm willing to put that trust in you. But he did make you earn it. So super hard worker. Like we always had to work hard, but like through that, you know, it was just like a reciprocal relationship. And he cared, bro. Like I remember our last AAU game, we all just cried, like huddled up, crying, parents crying. Like
it shows that you care, though.
Stuff.
That you love it and that you care.
Yeah, that was some of the funnest times, honestly, because it was just like, you know, it wasn't even just what happened on the court, because it was cool. Like we loved being certain teams and stuff like that, but you have more of the memories off the court. Like I remember being on the bus with them, going to this hotel, we going out to dinners and stuff like that. And so, yeah, he's just really awesome. He's really awesome. So
he made it bigger than basketball kind of deal. He turned it into you know, like you said, I think trust is huge. I think that and the biggest point that I took from it was it's got to be genuine. It can't be made up. I've seen coaches that they might say a certain thing and then act a certain way, and you're like, oh, they
people
know
pick up on it.
They know you're lying.
They do.
Come on, man. They know. And I was asking my follow-up question with that is, would you say that he treated everyone fair but not equal? So in other words, like you told me that he he didn't put you in a position that you didn't need to, he didn't think you could do. So maybe your strength as an athlete was, look, you're going to be a defender and a 3-point shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he's treating you fairly. Whereas the other person, he's going to go, I need you to dribble the ball and create and play make, right?
Yeah.
2 different ways of 2 completely different things, but treating them fairly based on whatever they're good and bad at. So would you say that that's something that he embodied as well?
I think I think he did. I think also, like, I'm not really sure how practices are run now for AAU teams, but back then we practiced like 2 or 3 times a week. So we saw each other a lot. And so I think with these bigger travel teams, sometimes
it's like once a week or something.
Yeah, they don't really get to see how they play. So I think for him, he was really able to like see it, see how we played. He'd come to our high school games as well, if he could. I think that was before he became the Lake Highland coach. And so he knew us and he knows the game. So, I think that made it easier for him to put him in those certain spots, but I don't think he pigeonholed people though. One thing I did appreciate about him is, like, with me, you could easily just be like, okay, just choose your mid-range and drive and try not to get charged, but he didn't do that. He allowed us plays to be successful. He wouldn't mind drawing up a play for you, no matter who it was, because he knew what you could do. Like, he's just awesome, bro. Like, he knows the game and he knows how to, like, get you to look your best. And I think, that's why we were able to go to some of the best schools, because our talents were showcased so well.
Yeah.
They were showcased so well. And I think that's another thing sometimes coaches don't realize. Sometimes they're so caught up in winning that they don't understand all the dynamics that come into it when it comes to getting these kids into college, which I think should be the biggest goal. So
I like that.
I love it. It's like I said, it's nowadays it's a little different. It's just like a lot more emotion. If I'm not getting my way, I'll tell mommy, daddy. Maybe they'll talk to coach, or why do I gotta run this hard and she's not? Well, you showed up late. Things like that.
That's real.
Accountability, man. Real.
It's big.
It's big.
Yeah. No, I definitely can understand that. I've kind of seen that too, even just with my younger siblings. I mean, I think definitely accountability needs to be done more, but I just think it goes down to trust again too. The parents, like, if they see that, okay, like, you're really trying to showcase my kid or whatever, you're really trying to do this, then, like, I think, it'll be received better. But there's always going to be that. It's always going to be that. So I think that's going to be a hurdle that I think is going to be interesting for the sports world, because it's not like we're not in a predicament where scholarship's the only way and, you just got to go by the coach, like, there's different avenues, and you can't really fault them because the system, especially the NCAA system, is, like, so driven to get what they want out of it. So
it is.
Yeah, so it's a weird balance. So it's interesting. I'm interested So I'm interested to see how those dynamics are gonna go with these kids, being coached now.
And the reality of it is, certain rosters, you got 12, 15 ladies, and lady number 1, 2, 3, 4, they're going to have a different role than 10, 11, 12.
Right.
And so I feel like if you are a coach that can, like, delegate truthfully, like, look, this is what you need to do to be where you want to be, but also I'm going to allow you, whenever you get your opportunity, this is how you got to do it. That way you're successful. And once they get that trust of, okay, like you said, the parents, the students, they see that, okay, he is giving me enough opportunity to showcase what I need to do, then I think that's when you're successful, from, best player to 12th lady, 13th lady. I had a 15-player roster this year for high school. And
that's rough.
So last year, they didn't have a JV team. And a lot of these ladies, it's not like how it was back in the day. Like, it's a struggle to get people to wake up in the morning to play ball and to just be able to.
How many girls tried out for you? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
How many girls used to try out in high school?
Try out?
Yeah, rough number.
That'd be a good amount. I would say.
Would you make cuts?
Me? No.
No, not you.
No, like the coaches. Would they have to cut players?
Yeah. It depended. Now, university, yeah, it depended because, you know, you got grades, you know, you got conduct, you know, it depends on that too. I don't think they cut that many people.
So for trials, they're what, 25, like how many?
I would say 25 to 30.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, you get like everybody's like, oh, I want to try basketball. And then, you know, it gets slimmer. And then a lot of people were on the freshman team too. Like they would give like freshman team a good try. But, or in JV. Yeah. We have varsity and JV. So they would give people a try on JV. Yeah. So I would say like 25 to 30. Yeah, I don't think it was like too crazy.
So real quick, what do you think, like you compare, you know, male athletes and female athletes in sports, you know, there's just less amount of ladies participating in team sports. And it's just a fact in spread across the board. And I'm talking middle school, high school, college. Mm-hmm. And I love how you touched on trust and, you know, your family trusting that person who's coaching you. Mm-hmm. Is that what it is? You think that's just there's not enough coaches that lay it all out on the line that basically provides an outlet or an avenue for these ladies, or how do we grow just the genuine interest of, you know, for instance, basketball? How, you know?
I think it's like twofold. So I think definitely with coaches, like, you know, there's some coaches out there that really want to coach, and there's some coaches that like having that power, who just like kind of being in charge, you know, and you know them and stuff. And I think you have to have a reality check with yourself. Like, why are you doing this? Because at the end of the day, like, you're affecting these kids' lives. Like, this is their, like, especially high school and college, like, these are the ages where they're becoming women. Like, they're forming their own opinions and becoming the women that they're going to be in the future. And so, you know, something that you might do correctly because you're not really trying can really affect them. And they can remember that. You know, people remember some stuff that really hits them deeply. So I think that's part of it. And also, I just think there's more options now. You know, kids don't have to go play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
they don't.
It might be the instant gratification too, is just part of it. Cause I think people like, you know, if they don't go to that D1, or if they're not like at the top cream of the crop, you know, it could be a deterrent for them because that's all they see. They see the best of the best. So like you'll see like all these little, like, I see them now, these high school games, these kids killing it. They're great. But not everybody's going to be like that, you know? Right. So it's like, instead of playing to their strengths, they get discouraged when they're not at where they think they should be because this other person is. So I think that might be part of it as well. I think maybe just like, I think there's also like a wave too, you know, because you see waves in girls basketball as well, just like in men's basketball too, with their playing skills. So, you know, maybe it'll start back up again. Maybe women will feel more empowered and like help their daughters to want to do that too. So I think there's room for like maybe improvement in a later period.
I mean, nowadays with social media, you see like 20, 25 recruits that are like in 8th grade, like between the legs, beating all these records. Back in the day, you couldn't see that. Yeah. So like, I do feel like there will be a wave of growth. You know, it goes up and down.
I do think now it's funny because we talk about the lack of not as many women playing sports, but those who decide to play are nasty, you know, like, yo, like, I'm like, God, it's because, you know, obviously, like, there's so much more resources, and now you can learn, like, you know, go on YouTube and learn how to dribble and have 30 different type of dribbling drills, go outside and do it. So those who want it can have all the resources to go do it. So that's been pretty cool too, to see it.
Definitely. I think the cool thing about seeing these women that are like, or these girls playing and stuff and showing their skills is like younger kids are seeing it. And like, I feel like I see that trend with like boys. So like boys basketball, they always watch it slam, always watch it, all these hoop stuff on YouTube. Overtime. And they grow up watching it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, they're idolizing it. So now that women are starting to do it, girls get a chance to idolize them. So I think that's important too. And that might increase the wave later on.
I like it.
And we can always talk about, I mean, just the impact of now that, you know, the new wages with WNBA and then.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
I can't wait for the next one. Like it's going to continue to grow. And I think I can't wait for a prime time, you know, WNBA game. Like it's going to happen sooner than later. And especially the biggest impact that I don't want to sound, one of the biggest impacts is the support that now WNBA is getting from the NBA players.
Yes,
correct.
Yes, that's
like,
huge.
Like, you know, rest in peace, Kobe.
Yes, rest in peace.
You know what I'm saying? Like you have Russell Westbrook, you have LeBron, you got D Wade, like all these stars.
But they go to games
that are going to
they
games
support
with
their ladies.
daughters, and like that's been really dope to see. Like, so you know that's going to tremendously help, and I hope it keeps going. But I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
You know,
Go ahead, man.
So I'll start with saying probably the hardest player I had to guard was twofold: Shane Larkin and Austin Rivers.
Mm.
Who was the toughest matchups you had?
That's tough. Okay, 1-on-1. Dang, that's really tough.
Or like you getting checked into the game freshman year, and you got to go up against someone who's like an All-American or like an award winner.
You think so college too?
Because we all got like there's always that one person, or that's that one person that gets you, and you're just like, oh, damn. Like,
oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. I think one of the toughest matchups that I had, and also one of like a friend, somebody I consider a friend, Alexis Prince in high school. She we used to go at it when we played. Like I felt like she was a great player, but her height really made up to that difference. She was like 6'3".
Okay.
So, that was tough, but she's really dope. Like we were so competitive in high school, but now after that, like super cool or whatever. And like,
where did she play? She played
she played at Edgewater, and then for college she went to Baylor.
Okay.
So,
love it.
Yeah, she was raw, played WNBA, all that. Super proud of her. Awesome. But I feel like in high school, it was just like, you're naive, you're young, like, oh, I just want to be the best, or I want to be whoever's the best. But, after that, getting to college and then getting into after college, like, we became cool, and she's super dope.
That's beautiful.
That's dope, yeah. By the way, random mop, the best player that I don't want to say nobody knows, because he had one great season at FGCU when he led him to the Sweet 16, I want to say. Brett Coleman, which was a play for Winter Park, was teammates with Austin Rivers.
Okay, I think I know. Yeah.
He was a star, FGCU when they went to the Sweet 16 that year. That boy is the most underrated dude I've played against. Like people who know basketball.
The Winter Park
when they saw Winter Park play, and when they're state champions and everything, Austin Rivers was the key name, but the best player on that team, like in terms of like in a high school level, was 100% Brett Coleman. This man, like, first half drill, I think he scored like 7 3-pointers in the first half. And it was just like, all right, bye. And then sat down the rest of the game. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Crazy. It's like that sometimes. You got some gems in the rough. They just need an opportunity to shine. So
but I think he was one of those that just loved the game, but knew in his life he wasn't gonna, like, I think he knew he wasn't gonna, like, try to go to the NBA or anything like that. I think he just loved playing.
Right.
Now, like you said it earlier, January, like eventually you got to make a decision. Not everyone goes to the NBA, the WNBA. And what I like to tell my student athletes from when they're in middle school, high school, it's okay. So it's an avenue. It's an outlet for you to get to the next level in the sense of you get opportunities. You can get a scholarship. You can utilize your talents or your athleticism to provide you maybe with an opportunity that you wouldn't have.
Right.
But my main goal is if as a coach, when I first meet you in the first 3 to 6 months, and I'm gonna keep saying it over and over again, I make sure you love the game of basketball first.
Right.
Because if you love the game of basketball, then you'll go to do those extra workouts. You'll show up on time. And so I want to ask you, what was that moment when you genuinely, truly said, I love playing ball? Like, I need a basketball in my hands all the time.
I mean, I think that was when I was younger. Like, I think when I got into organized sports when I was like 11 is when I was just like, yo, like, I love this game. And I was really competitive. I'm an Aries, so that's probably why. But that's when I was just like, and that was when I had to make that transition from dancing to basketball, like, officially. And I was like, yo, like, I want to play. That's all I ever wanted to do.
You already knew.
I went from there, And so I just stayed focused on it.
Yeah, I remember seeing that competitiveness. Like you said, we used to play before school. After school was like,
I didn't even care, man. Sweating, go to class.
Go to core class, full sweat. Like, don't even matter.
Yeah. It was so fun.
That was dope.
I've heard.
I was so envious. I used to be so mad because I think when we were in 6th grade, like the 6th graders had to practice outside. Remember that?
They do that now for high school.
Yeah. Because these they said in Corner Lake you had to earn to play inside the gym. So the 7th and 8th graders, you used to play because you played as a part of the 7th and 8th grade team. You used to practice in the gym. And I remember being 6th grade, just pissed off, like, yo, man, like I want to be in the.
I want to be in there.
That's wild. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but that was fun though. That was a good look. There's some Coach Stephan. He's actually probably my best.
Oh yeah,
Coach Stephan.
I remember him.
I always say this. Actually, I haven't said it on the podcast. That was a 15-man basketball team for our 6th grade class.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember the 6th grade class, just our 6th graders. Out of those 15, I think 10 kids eventually got at least a D2 scholarship.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, because you had me, Jeremy, Josh, Quentin, Kyle.
Wow, yeah.
God, I'm forgetting a couple, but Sharif.
Oh yeah, that's Sharif. Crazy.
So when he played for Rollins, so like that 6th grade team.
That's awesome.
Was nasty.
That was a good squad. I remember because y'all just loved to play, played all the time,
every day, all the time. Yeah.
We 11 years old and legit like that's all we. Mm-hmm. And January was always there, so that was always fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
I coach middle school, high school basketball for ladies. And I want you to let these middle school, high school students know, what does it take to be effective on a day-to-day basis?
I think to be effective, I think you just have to be ready to work, sometimes you may not even be in the mood at first. Like, you're human. Sometimes you're just like, today I don't really feel like it. But when you step on that court, you have to push that out and focus on the goal. Take out those 2 hours and just focus on that. Focus on your coach, focus on what you need to do. Because when you let like outside influences affect you, because most of the stuff that can affect you is more mental than physical. There's definitely injuries and stuff that come along with it, but most of it is more the mental pressure that kids either are putting on themselves or getting from their parents. And if you kind of just focus it, growing up, I really wish I would have done meditation, because I think that really would have helped me going into practices, looking at it now.
Like that.
Yeah, because I do it now. I'm like, man, I feel great.
Prepare yourself to succeed.
Yeah, you get focused, you're like, zen, so when you come into it, you're not thinking about other stuff, you're thinking about that. And eventually the better you get at meditating, the better you're able to even do it in a space that you don't usually meditate. Like even in practice, let's say I deep breathe between a drill and I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go again. So I think really just trying to focus mentally on being ready for practice. That's the biggest hurdle, I think. What else?
What was your day-to-day schedule like when you were in high school, or I guess that early, 10th, 11th grade? What was your working out? Like, do extra stuff besides basketball practice?
Yeah, so I would go to school. Let's say it was a regular day. I would just go to school. If I didn't have practice during the I wasn't in season, I would go ahead and go to a workout afterwards. It'd probably be like an hour and a half. That's when I was working out with Erwin Hudson primarily back then.
Shout out.
So I would do that, and then eat, go to sleep. But my parents, my mom was kind of strict, and so she was very big on rest. She was huge on getting rest.
So
drinking water. Everyone used to joke because I used to have bottles of water on the sidelines, tons of bottles. And if I didn't have my bottles, Mom would freak out. She's like, "Where's your bottles?" I'm like, "Oh." And then someone had to get my bottles, and I would just drink 6 or 7 in a game. And that and rest and just being mentally prepared really helped me a lot.
Real quick, so what's the one thing that you did every day, either in high school and college, or give me a drill or something that you incorporated in your workouts every single day? Is there anything that comes to mind that you utilize that perhaps maybe these middle school or high school athletes can learn from one of the best?
I would say definitely work on your left hand. I think that's so underrated, and I think it's gotten worse. People really don't use their left hand for anything anymore. And then I would also say Look, I think a lot of people either like drive to the basket type folks or 3-pointers. The mid range is so underrated. If more of these players put the mid range in their game, like it's such an underrated shot. It's so hard to guard. Like it's hard to predict when that person's going to just pull up and shoot. And so if you're good at all three, it's like you're a triple threat.
Scoring. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so I think that really elevated my game, especially in college, because high school, I would just blow through people and I'd get an and one or something. And I would get a charge, but I would just take it. I was like, I don't care. I'll just take the charge. But in college, they started to gear up for my driving in.
They know that you're coming. They're scouting you. They're prepping for everyone can take a charge because if not, they're not on the team.
Right. Literally in college, there's footage or pictures of people already on their way down when I'm going up for a layup. Oh, it was bad. It was bad.
Like already just bracing for it.
Yeah, they're already all the way back. So I think having that mid-range as a counter is huge because it would get them off balance. They didn't know what to do, and I don't think I've seen it as much even now. It's kind of rare in the players we see. It's either drive the basket or 3-pointer. So those are two things I think in my game that I think really helped me a lot.
Love it. Appreciate it. This is genuine knowledge from someone who knows and got to the next level. So it's really special. Thank you.
No, and I don't know if we have any more questions, but I do have one more. With the NBA coming back, how do you see it playing out? I just wanna.
I mean, it just seems like a mess. I don't know, cause the whole playoff structure, that's weird. That's weird. And then no fans. I was just watching a soccer game that they had earlier today, and there was no fans. I'm like, it's a scrimmage. This is so boring. Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be boring because we all been waiting for some basketball. Let's be honest.
Championship ain't gonna get boring if you're trying to win.
Right, we're tired, but I feel like it's gonna be interesting. How it's going to be after this, because how are you going to social distance with a basketball game or with a football game? Right. It's going to be really interesting to see how those dynamics are changed. So I'm really interested to see what that looks like because I don't see it.
Who do you have winning,
I mean, the Lakers, man. I don't know, man. LeBron, he's been at home, brewing in there. I know he's ready to play.
Yeah, he's been working out.
Yeah, especially I think with the whole Last Dance stuff going on. I think that might be
he got motivated for
I mean, sure. I don't think he'll ever say it, but I think, it would motivate me, because
it motivated all of us.
Right. So I'm pretty sure he feel like he has to prove anything, but I think it's gonna be a motivating factor for him to get in. And they have the squad. I mean, you can't deny that just starting 5 alone. It's just deadly. So, I'm excited. I just kind of can't wait to see it. And it's cool it's going to be in Orlando.
Yes, that's
special. Dope. That's pretty dope. So
now, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
No, I was going to say, January, with the audience, with there being no audience, my dream, and it would never happen because of the, it being a kids show, essentially, I would love for them to mic up the players and play.
Oh,
they might. God. It's a proposal. They're talking about it.
It could, but I don't know, man. It gets pretty bad out there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Could you? Okay, if they did a subscription, a rated R subscription,
pay $10 to watch this uncut.
I would do it.
You know what I mean? I would love to watch those games.
I would do it.
Oh my God.
Talking to the refs. They also spoke about maybe doing a 22-game WNBA season.
Oh, nice.
They spoke about it a few days ago. Yeah, it's in talks. They're going to see how this NBA thing works, and then maybe they'll do something like that, put them in a bubble. And
nice.
So I think I think it's a good thing these sports are coming back in the sense of we need some sort of entertainment.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
These are some crazy times. Think about it. We can't even go outside without thinking now twice.
No.
I'm washing my hands like crazy.
Man.
I don't need a haircut. I don't need a haircut.
Every day I wake up, it's just everywhere. I'm like, what's going on over here? Hey, what are you up to now? I know you graduated after your 4 years. What are you up to now?
So I ended up, so after I graduated from college, I stayed home to kind of just save up because I really wanted to get into the film industry. In Atlanta.
You graduated your degree, right?
Yes, I graduated my degree. Thank you.
Love it.
It was in telecommunications, and primarily it was focused on production. So it was just like how to edit, all that stuff. And then I kind of was at home for a little bit, and then I ended up moving out to Atlanta in 2018. And so I started out as a set production assistant. So basically you're just like on set, you know, you're kind of like bottom of the totem pole, you know, but you work crazy hours and stuff. Yeah, you learn it. And then eventually I moved up. So now I'm like in the accounting world for the show that I'm on called Genius. Like focused on the Aretha Franklin series.
I feel like 100% I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's coming out. I mean, they had to stop it because of the pandemic, of course.
The pandemic. Yeah.
But yeah, so they have like the actual movie, but this is like a series on Aretha Franklin. So yeah, I've been working in the film world. I worked on Star. I worked on Ozark this past season.
That's special.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy.
But see, look at the opportunity you got from basketball. Yeah. You decided to go do a telecommunications degree, and you're over here, you know. You created yourself an avenue to do something that, you know, you had a passion for, that you wanted to give a go at. So
yeah, definitely. I feel like the discipline and hard work that I learned from college basketball definitely geared me up for this world.
For the real life.
Yeah, for sure. Like even just filming specifically, like, you know, it's known as really cutthroat, but, you know, people have been able to see how diligent of a worker I am, and it's helped me to move up faster in the ranks than I thought I would. So I think for all these players that are kind of like, what's it gonna do for me? Like, yeah, I don't have debt, but I feel like, you know, I'm kind of behind. Try to like use this opportunity to kind of get somewhere. Cause like if I say I'm from UF, people listen. They're like, oh, okay, like you played. It kind of it makes a difference. So I definitely think that you know, student athletes should kind of focus on, okay, like after this in the real world, okay, how can I apply this major into what I want to do, and use the resources you have, because, you know, these schools have networks. Back then I wasn't really trying to look into it. I just wanted to graduate. I was like, I'm done, I don't care. But looking back, I kind of wish I would have poured into these networks a little bit more, and I might even be further than I am now. So I think that's important for athletes to know too, to do that.
I love it. And like X said, you know, you're a local legend for your basketball career, especially your middle school, high school. And one thing I can say is I look forward to your even forward life being even better.
Yes.
Like,
thank you. I
basketball
appreciate
is one
that.
thing, and it's great when it comes, but it's just a segment of your life. And I look forward to your greatness coming forward, man. I really do. And
thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. Like, just having an outlet for athletes to hear what's going on, because I feel like before I came in, no one really talked about what college was going to be like, or even like, you know, what they were doing in high school to get better. So I think it's really cool of you guys to be doing that. So keep up the great work, you know, keep inspiring these kids, because they listen. Even though it doesn't seem like it, they listen.
Nah, they listen. They pay attention.
Yeah, they do. So
appreciate that, January.
No
January,
problem.
you're, like I said, you are invited whenever you want to see any East River versus University high school games. If you ever want to join in on a practice, I am right now issuing you a formal invitation. We'll exchange info, and like I said, we can get you over here in the court so you can play with some of our young ladies.
Please let me know for sure, because I go to Orlando a lot. So yeah, just hit me up. I'll hit you up and we'll get that going.
And we're grinding at all times. So whenever it's more flexible for you, I'm telling you, summer, season, all of it. So whenever you have time, you're more than welcome to join us.
You still hoop? I'm trying to real quick before we end this. You still hoop?
You still hoop?
I don't as much as I used to, but I play every once in a while.
Yeah, that's muscle memory.
Yeah, it is. Like, I love when I actually get to playing, I have fun. Like, my competitive spirit comes back and stuff, but it was just hard with like work and the hours I had. It was just kind of hard to do that, but I'm gonna get back into it for sure once the pandemic's over.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Again, appreciate it, January. We look forward to talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
God bless, and thank you so much once again.